It can be trickier in Stevenage compared to Hertfordshire for developers because the land prices are still high, but the sales prices aren't always quite as good. So sometimes you do get some. It can take a little bit longer to get to site. Equally, quite a few of our sites are brownfield sites, so town centre sites where you need to acquire, tidy up the land and then get going, so it can be a bit more expensive. So with one or two schemes there's been a little bit of delay since 2022 for reasons that we all know, but we're starting to see schemes back on site. There's about 1,000 homes on site at the moment. At the heart of it, I think probably the main word I'd use is partnership. It's not always easy. We have to work out what's their funding like, what are the financial markets like, what's the planning consent, what can we bring to the table. It probably took a good 18 months to come up with a joint solution that would let that scheme come to life. If you don't show the community and work as hard as you can to show that you're moving on, creating the homes that local people need, you end up in stasis. But I also think in a town centre setting, we're at the point of change here, and if we're not able to get that breakthrough of showing what the future can look like and showing that there's a brighter future ahead for local people, all of the regeneration stalls, not just one scheme. So this is a catalyst, and it's right for us to be part of that.
Hello, I'm Toby Fox from 1.5 Million New Homes, the local government challenge sponsored by Redloft and Bugler Developments. And I'm visiting a different council every month to find out what works and what needs to change to get more homes built. And this month, I've come to Stevenage to meet the Borough Council. I've come to meet the Chief Executive, Tom Pike, to talk about how the council is delivering new homes here.
Thank you. I'm Tom Pike. I'm Chief Executive of Stevenage Borough Council, and we're here in the heart of Stevenage Town Centre, which, as you can see all around, is a place undergoing regeneration as we speak.
How big is that regeneration?
Overall, over 10 to 15 years, anywhere between something like 3,500 to 5,000 homes worth of development in the town. But it's not all about homes. It's about creating a thriving heart for the town with jobs, places to eat, culture, as well as shops and other things for people to enjoy.
And you got the station gateway as well?
Absolutely. One of the great benefits of the town is the station is right on the edge of the town centre, but it was built in the 1970s. It's separated by a road, not the easiest place to access. And what we're trying to do with our business partners is better connect the 20,000 jobs in the industrial area there with the heart of the town and create great opportunity for the economy to grow and local people to benefit.
So there's an awful lot of change going on in Stevenage. Yeah. Given that, how should we understand this place? I mean, what is Stevenage? What's special about it?
It's a fantastic place. The motto of the town is the heart of the town lies in its people. And you can feel that really strongly in Stevenage. There's a real sense of togetherness, of wanting to achieve things together. A huge pride in the long history of the town, but the history is the first new town. It's a place where the economy's booming, where over 10 years, 10,000 jobs have been added to the economy. And if you look out into the future with space, defence, life sciences, there's some really big opportunities. But it's also a place where not all of those opportunities flow through into our community. Right. And one of our opportunities, one of our challenges is to be working on skills programmes, on targeting regeneration, working with communities to make sure that the jobs that are created here have a direct benefit and help people in their lives here.
Tell us a bit about those people. Who are they? What are the demographics of Stevenage?
It's a mixed town. Lots of families who've grown up with the town have got wonderful stories about families who've moved to the town, coming to work here, coming to make their life here. And lots of families have come from that background. Like other places, some newer arrivals from within Hertfordshire, from London, and from other places as well. So a thriving town, quite a young town as well, compared to other parts of Hertfordshire. And lots of demand amongst the businesses for younger entrants into the workforce, for new engineers, for new life scientists and beyond.
And how is all of this playing into housing need and pressure on housing in Stevenage? I
think, like lots of parts of the country, we're suffering still the effects of the housing crisis that's been unfolding over a few years. There's a shortage of affordable homes for local people, so we've got about 1,500 people on the housing waiting list, and we're trying to build 1,000 council homes by the end of this decade. Beyond that, there's businesses and young people talk about the need for homes that meet their need. We don't have, historically, there hasn't been that much newer apartments and smaller format homes for people on their own, and there's a real need amongst the older community as well, for adapted properties, for independent living, for those types of offer as well. So there's a mix of that, and a need, of course, as ever, for family homes around the town.
And what are the targets that have been set for you?
In the local plan, our local plan, which has got 5 or 6 years to run, we've got a target for something like 7,600 homes. Okay. So,
and how are you doing on meeting that?
We're making some good progress. We've given permission for something like 4,000 homes in the last few years alone, some of which are in the town centre and some spread around. So the plans are based on 4 main opportunity areas: a rejuvenation of the centre, and 3 urban extensions, 2 of which have got planning consent and 1 that's coming through. So we're very proactive, and we'll do what we can to unlock homes, working also in particular with RSLs to see what can we do to help make sure there's enough affordable homes for local people.
That opens up loads of different questions. Number 1, viability. How does that stack up in Stevenage compared to London, compared to other parts of the country?
It can be trickier in Stevenage compared to Hertfordshire for developers, because the land prices are still high, but the sales prices aren't always quite as good. So sometimes you do get some. It can take a little bit longer to get to site. Equally, quite a few of our sites are brownfield sites, so town centre sites where you need to acquire, tidy up the land, and then get going. So it can be a bit more expensive. So with 1 or 2 schemes, there's been a little bit of delay since 2022 for reasons that we all know. But we're starting to see schemes back on site. There's about 1,000 homes on site at the moment. So lots of work with Homes England and others to overcome those barriers.
Yeah, and investment by the council.
We've got some sites where the council's a co-investor. There's one in the town for 261 homes where we're a joint investor in a site. We've got about 300 of our own schemes on site, and we're a landowner as well, where we're bringing other sites forward. So there's lots of different ways we're doing what we can, and brokering with developers, brokering with Homes England to try and find ways to get schemes, get homes built for local people. And
you talked about RSLs, but obviously they have their own problems in terms of stock and looking after what they've already got, never mind new build. And I guess that's a problem that you also have to face, or at least balance.
Absolutely. I mean, looking to we're a stock holding authority, and we've got our own housing revenue account. There's no denying it's a tough time. It's a perfect storm of higher costs, higher financing costs, higher regulation, and a need to make sure we do everything really, really well for our tenants. But at the same time, I don't think giving up's an option, and that means we've got to work really, really hard to work out, can we redesign a scheme to make it more viable? That might mean changing some layouts, doing things a bit differently. It might mean working out the funding strategies of different RSLs and working out where they want to be and what they're looking to do. Just this week alone, we had 1 RSL secure planning consent for an older people accommodation scheme, which is absolutely fantastic, which means another 80 or so homes created for people on our housing waiting list. So really, really fabulous. But taken together, now's the time for us to be proactive and to be looking ahead. There's £39 billion worth of funding allocated through the government over the next decade. So we've got to be on the front foot, and we've got to be having our pipeline ready and going into that as positively as we can.
So we talked about viability a little bit in relation to the scheme that's behind us now. That's an example of the sort of deal making that you have to do in order to make things happen, and the intelligence that you have to have, and the confidence you have to have as an organisation.
Absolutely. I think, we're so thrilled to see this scheme come forward, and at the heart of it, I think probably the main word I'd use is partnership. Partnership is working with, in this case with Mace. We've been at it for a number of years together, trying to find a way to bring that particular site forward. It's not always easy. We have to work out what's their funding like, what are the financial markets like, what's the planning consent, what can we bring to the table. It probably took a good 18 months to come up with a joint solution that would let that scheme come to life and get onto site.
But that's 18 months on top of years.
On top of on top of a couple of years through the planning process. So 18 months, and really the plans were derailed by the cost of living crisis and inflation that came with it. But working through those stages, how could we fund it? What options have we got to build it? How much risk are we willing to take? And then making sure that any investment that we do make is done really sensibly in a really coherent way.
And it highlights the complexities of getting schemes away, particularly given current circumstances in terms of viability and so on. That's an awful lot of energy and headspace for a council to be putting into 1 block of flats. Why is it worth it? You know, how important is housing given all of the other stuff you've got to do?
I think if you don't show the community and work as hard as you can to show that you're moving on, creating the homes that local people need, you end up in stasis. But I also think in a town centre setting, we're at the point, a point of change here. And if we're not able to get that breakthrough of showing what the future can look like and showing that there's a brighter future ahead for local people, all of the regeneration stalls, not just one scheme. So this is a catalyst, and it's right for us to be part of that. And credit to Mace, who've been working really hard with us to get this site going and already looking fabulous.
Is there a danger with local government reform coming up that all of the expertise that you so carefully and expensively built to such great outcomes gets lost as everything gets reorganised?
Well, I tend to try and live with hope and optimism, and I think the opportunity here is, can we work at more scale with strong balance sheets to build even more homes and do more to support our communities? Because the root cause of a lot of pressures on the public sector in general are because people aren't adequately housed, making it harder for them to get into a career route or to find the support that they need. So I think going through this process, we've got to have good quality housing, tackling homelessness at the centre. And so, quite frankly, for me and for all of us in Hertfordshire, we've been working really hard on how can we have housing and homelessness well managed through this process, and the capability to build homes, the capability to work with developers has to be at the heart of the new unitary authorities.
And in practical terms, what would your advice be to other areas going through local government reform about maintaining that consistency and that skill?
I think you've got to fight really hard to make it a priority, and there are good links across with social care services and so on, but you really have to fight hard for in all of the bids and all the preparation work that we're doing to reassure the teams, reassure the tenants and residents that we work with that it is a priority, and that we're going to have to make sure that this is at the centre of the future.
I described the sort of pressure on the council's finances that you're experiencing now.
Well, I think looking at the housing revenue account, I've talked about the perfect storm where construction's up 10-15%. Demand pressures on repairs and so on, they're going through the roof, so to pardon the pun, but at the same time we're heavily regulated, and so you put that together, for good reason we're regulated because we want good outcomes for our tenants, but taken together it is a time where most councils with an HRA are in a really tough situation. So what you have to look at is how can you bring in grant funding from Homes England to help get schemes going, how can you manage your construction cost and supply chain. We can do some of that because we run in-house teams, so we've got a bit more predictability there. How can you be more efficient and work differently as well? So we're continuing to work through that in the HRA at the moment. I think it would probably be fair to say our experience at the moment is the HRA is probably a little bit more challenged than our other areas of expenditure. But in relation to housing costs that all councils face, we've been able to avoid some of the demand-led pressure because we've acquired and built lots of frontline provision for those who need our support, and to try and get them back on their feet to live independently or with support, and that's helped avoid some very heavy costs as well.
Tom, thank you very much for your role in getting 1.5 million new homes built.
Thank you, Toby.
So that's it for another episode of 1.5 million new homes, the Local Government Challenge, sponsored by Redloft and Bugler Developments. We're going to be back in a few days with more from Stevenage, but until then, please hit like and subscribe, and we'll look forward to seeing you then. Thank you.